All right, in this explainer, we're cracking the code on AI success. We all see the headlines, but why is it that some companies just seem to hit home runs with AI, while pretty much everyone else strikes out? Well, let's dive into what that top 5% are doing differently. It's all based on some really fascinating new research.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that is pretty staggering. According to a recent MIT report, a full 95% of generative AI programs failed to deliver any real bottom-line business returns. Think about that. That is a massive failure rate. It means most companies are just getting stuck in what some people call the experimentation trap. Just endless pilots that never actually go anywhere.
So that really is the big question, isn't it? If 95% are struggling, what on earth is that elite 5% doing right? What's their secret sauce? Well, that's exactly what we are going to unpack.
Now, before we get to the answer, let's bust a few common myths. You might think, oh, the winners must have better tech, or way more data, or maybe they're just paying superstar salaries for the best talent. But the research shows that's not it. Turns out, most organizations, big and small, have access to pretty much the same tools and information.
So here it is. The single biggest difference between the companies that are crushing it with AI and the ones that aren't. It all comes down to one thing: leadership. Not the technology, not the data, but the people at the very top.
And hey, this isn't just a hunch. The data is screaming it. When over 50 senior leaders were asked what the biggest driver of AI returns was, just look at this chart. A whopping 47% pointed directly to leadership effectiveness. I mean, that's more than 3 times the next factor. It is not even close.
Okay, so let's break this leadership idea down a little more. The research points to 2 key roles. First, you've got your architects. These are your brilliant tech experts, the folks building the models and the infrastructure. Absolutely essential. But then, and this is the game changer, you have the shapers. These are the business leaders who can translate what's technically possible into real business value and actually drive adoption across the entire company. And this is where so many companies get it wrong. The big takeaway is that successful AI adoption isn't about just hiring one chief AI officer and calling it a day. No, the companies that really win are the ones where every single senior leader, from the CEO to the CFO to the head of HR, becomes a shaper. This capability has to be woven into the fabric of the entire leadership team.
All right, so how do you actually build these shapers? Well, lucky for us, there's a framework for that. It's called the Shape Index, and it breaks down effective AI leadership into 5 specific concrete behaviors. Let's walk through it.
First up, we have S for strategic agility. This is all about the difference between having a flexible game plan versus being stuck on one rigid path. Shapers are all about prioritizing options and focusing on real business value, not just the next shiny new tech. And get this, surveyed leaders rank this as the single most important behavior of them all.
Next up, H stands for human centricity. Shapers don't frame AI as just a way to replace people or cut costs. Instead, they ask, how can this make our people better at their jobs? They get that you have to design changes with your teams, not just shove new tech down from the top.
And this quote right here just says it all. Trust sets the speed limit for AI adoption. I mean, think about it. If you don't build that psychological safety and address the real fears people have, even the most incredible technology will just end up collecting dust. Okay, next is A for applied curiosity. This is all about leaders actually getting their hands dirty. They don't just delegate AI to some innovation team. They personally get involved in fast, disciplined experiments that have really clear learning goals. They're constantly filtering the hype by asking, yeah, that's cool, but is this actually solving our problem?
Then we have P for performance drive. This is about moving beyond what the researchers call pilot theater. You know what I'm talking about? Celebrating these impressive-looking experiments that never actually scale or deliver any real results. Shapers are disciplined. They are relentlessly focused on business outcomes and ROI, not just activity for activity's sake.
And finally, E for ethical stewardship. Now, what's interesting here is that this was initially ranked as less important by leaders, but it becomes absolutely critical once you try to move past the pilot stage. Shapers build governance and responsibility in from day one. They see things like algorithmic bias as a serious business risk, not just some afterthought you deal with after a PR crisis. Okay, so that's the SHAPE framework. We know the what, but knowing it is one thing, actually doing it is another. So let's get into a concrete action plan to turn your leaders from potential bottlenecks into true AI accelerants. And here's the really good news. These SHAPE capabilities, they aren't fixed traits you're either born with or you're not. You've got to think of AI leadership like a muscle. It can be developed, it can be strengthened with intentional, systematic effort. It is totally coachable.
So the action plan breaks down into 4 simple steps. First, you assess. Use that SHAPE framework to look at your leaders and figure out where the biggest gaps are. Second, you hire smart. When you bring in new leaders, recruit for those tough-to-coach skills, like strategic agility. Third, you develop your current team. Create targeted plans to build the specific SHAPE skills your organization needs right now. And finally, and this might be the most important one, role model. Senior leaders have to be seen using AI themselves. It sends a powerful signal that this is a real priority, not just another task to delegate.
So it all really boils down to this. What separates that 5% from the other 95% is not what they know about AI. It's how they lead with it. It's all about action, not just knowledge.
And that leaves us all with one final, crucial question to think about. When you look at your own organization, is your leadership an AI bottleneck, keeping you stuck in that 95%? Or is it an accelerant ready to launch you into the future? Because the answer to that question will likely determine your place in the AI era.